As I reached for the door, laughter echoed from inside. That useless failure. She's probably late again. No money, no love, a broken loser. My sister raised her glass, smirking. No man, no kids. She'll never have a real family. I let go of the doorknob and walked away. Then I called my lawyer because they needed to pay. Sophia Bennett gazed down at Twilight City from her office in a Manhattan high-rise. She unconsciously checked her reflection in the window glass. A perfectly tailored black pantsuit, neatly arranged chestnut hair, and eyes that couldn't hide their fatigue. The presentation materials are perfect. The client was absolutely thrilled, Rachel said with a smile as Sophia turned around to face her colleague. Sophia smiled back, but her expression seemed somewhat vacant. Thank you, but I'll be leaving now. I have to attend my sister's baby shower. After leaving the office and settling into her luxury car, Sophia heaved a deep sigh. Her professional success meant nothing to her family, especially to her parents, Richard and Margaret. In the eyes of these retired, wealthy business people, the fact that their daughter was unmarried and childless, regardless of her accomplishments, was seen as a failure. Chloe made the wiser choice, her father would often say. Her sister Chloe had married Ethan Parker, a banker, immediately after graduating from college and became a full-time homemaker. Now she was pregnant with her first child. She had followed the ideal daughter path in the Bennett family to perfection. As Sophia drove, she felt painful memories from 2 years ago resurfacing. She too had had a chance at happiness. Her engagement to Liam Hayes, a real estate developer, had finally pleased her parents, but suddenly, without explanation, Liam broke off the engagement. And strangely, a few months later, Chloe had rushed into marriage with Ethan. Why do you always fail? Her mother's words still echoed in her ears. Learn from Chloe. Everything she does works out well. Sophia pulled over to the side of the road and rested her forehead against the steering wheel. Since childhood, she had desperately tried to live up to her family's expectations as an honor student, as an athlete, and now as a businesswoman, but it was never enough. Chloe received all their parents' affection without effort, while Sophia was always pushed into the shadows. Her phone rang, displaying Chloe's name on the screen. Sophia, where are you? It's about to start. I told you not to be late, didn't I? Chloe's voice was tinged with her usual sense of superiority. I'll be there soon. Work ran a little long. Always work. This is an important family day. Hurry up. After hanging up, Sophia pulled back onto the road. However, when she turned onto the street near Chloe's house, she witnessed an unexpected sight. At the entrance of a luxury hotel, Chloe was embracing a man passionately. The man's back view was Liam Hayes, her former fiancé. Sophia stopped her car and watched the scene unfold. Liam gently embraced Chloe's pregnant body. The two shared a long kiss before getting into separate cars. Chloe drove toward her parents' home, while Liam headed in the opposite direction. With trembling hands gripping the steering wheel, everything suddenly clicked into place for Sophia. The real reason Liam had broken off their engagement, Chloe's hasty marriage, and now the father of the baby Chloe was carrying might be. This can't be happening, Sophia whispered. At that moment, another message arrived from Chloe. Hurry up. Everyone's waiting. Sophia took a deep breath. She could feel a plan forming in her mind. She quickly opened her laptop and began searching through old emails and messages. There, she found traces of exchanges between Liam and Chloe dating back 2 years. Her hacking skills, a hobby from college days, were now proving useful. I need evidence, she murmured calmly. She decided to delay her arrival at the baby shower. She needed time to organize the facts before her and gather necessary evidence. She picked up her phone and dialed Olivia Grant Law Office. A composed female voice answered. I need your help with a very complicated family matter. On the other end of the line, Olivia, a veteran family law attorney, nodded quietly. Tell me more. Sophia began to tell the truth about years of family neglect, betrayal, and the shocking discovery she had just made, and about the justice she was seeking. "I understand. I'll help you," Olivia said, "but we'll need solid evidence." "Then I might be a little late for the baby shower," Sophia replied. In her eyes burned a flame of determination that had been suppressed for a long time. As twilight approached, Sophia arrived at her parents' mansion. Normally, she would park in the circular driveway in front of the entrance, but today she parked a little distance away. Gathering evidence had taken time, and she was more than an hour late. Chloe's baby shower would already be in full swing. Sophia got out of her car and took a deep breath. The crisp autumn breeze caressed her cheeks. "Stay calm," she told herself, as she took out a small compact mirror from her bag to check her makeup. It was perfect. At least her appearance was. She walked slowly forward. Her parents' house was one of the most impressive buildings in the area. White columns and expansive gardens with large double doors at the entrance. As a child, this house had felt like a castle to her, but now it felt like a prison. As she approached the entrance, she could hear laughter and conversation drifting from inside. Sophia was about to place her hand on the doorknob when she froze at the words she heard. "She still hasn't come." It was her mother Margaret's voice, always using work as an excuse. "She really doesn't understand the meaning of family." "Well, that's just like Sophia," her father Richard answered with a laugh. "Never showing up when it matters most. Her priorities are always skewed." Sophia stood motionless. Her hand on the doorknob began to tremble. This situation wasn't new. It wasn't the first time her parents had criticized her behind her back, but today, here on this special day of Chloe's baby shower, that useless girl. "Of course she's late," her mother's voice echoed again. "A worthless, loveless, defective loser." Pain shot through Sophia's chest. Defective. That was the word her mother used when referring to her. Since childhood, she had always been treated as a child who was lacking something, who couldn't meet expectations. The next moment, her heart nearly stopped. "A toast," Chloe's voice rose. "To my beloved family and friends, especially to my parents who have been perfect role models for me, and I know you'll shower the same love on my daughter who will be born soon." The sound of glasses clinking and applause followed. "By the way," Chloe continued, "where's my chronically late sister?" Laughter filled the room. "Don't expect her," her mother answered. "She'll probably use some work emergency as an excuse again, but the truth is, she doesn't belong here. She's always the odd one out." "Oh," a woman's voice said, "but I heard she's very successful, an executive at that marketing company, right?" "Successful?" Her father scoffed. "Maybe on paper, but she has no family, no husband, no children. What kind of success is that?" "That's right." Chloe's voice resonated again. Sophia could imagine her sister raising a wine glass, though it must be non-alcoholic, given her pregnancy. "Well, she doesn't even have a man, and she can't have children anyway." Sophia's hand slipped from the doorknob. She knew that was a lie. Medically, she was perfectly capable of having children, but Chloe had always spread rumors that Sophia was infertile. Even her parents believed it. Laughter filled the room again. "But she doesn't deserve a real family anyway," Chloe added. "I thought she would come," another woman's voice said. "You sent her an invitation, didn't you?" "As a formality," Chloe answered. "But I didn't really think she would come. She's always too absorbed in herself. Remember a few years ago when she was engaged to Liam? She ruined everything, didn't she?" The moment Liam's name was mentioned, anger surged through Sophia's entire body. She trembled at Chloe's audacity. "Oh, stop that," her mother said, but her voice was mixed with laughter. "Sophia would be hurt if she heard that." "But it's true," Chloe objected. "She let a wonderful man get away, and now she's alone. I have Ethan and this beautiful baby. We'll be the perfect family." Sophia closed her eyes. She breathed deeply and slowly. The feeling of loneliness and alienation from her family that she had felt since childhood washed over her. but now it was transforming into a different emotion: anger, determination, and, most importantly, a sense of liberation. "They are not my family," she whispered to herself. "And today I'll prove it." Sophia quietly backed away. Her movements were as graceful as a cat's, and no one noticed her. She descended the stairs carefully, making sure her shadow didn't fall anywhere visible. When she returned to her car, a folder of evidence sat on the passenger seat. Evidence of Chloe and Liam's affair emails, photos, hotel receipts, and, most shocking, text messages she had hacked from Chloe's phone. In them, the two discussed the possibility that Liam was the father of the baby. Sophia opened the folder and rechecked the contents. Then, with a determined expression, she took out her phone and dialed Olivia's number. "It's Sophia." Her voice was surprisingly calm. "It's time to put our plan into action. They should pay the price indeed." The lawyer's voice was cool and professional. "With this evidence, your case is strong enough, especially considering Ethan's position." "Good," Sophia said. "He's a victim. He has the right to know the truth." "Let's discuss the next steps," Olivia said. "What do you want from them?" Sophia thought for a moment, then looked at herself in the rearview mirror with determination. "This isn't just about revenge, Olivia," she said. "It's about justice. The truth needs to be revealed. I don't want to hurt them the way they hurt me. I just want them to understand the consequences of their actions." "I understand," Olivia said. "Let's finalize the details at my office tomorrow. Get some rest tonight." After hanging up, Sophia gazed at the house, once the core of her identity, but now she finally understood the truth. Family wasn't just about blood ties, but about respecting and supporting each other, and her family, her real one, wasn't here. Sophia started the engine and quietly drove away. Her heart was filled with sadness and determination, but there was a new strength in her eyes. It was time to reveal the truth. The living room of the Bennett mansion was enveloped in an unprecedented tension 3 days later. A family meeting had been called at Sophia's request. Soft light streaming through the heavy curtains illuminated antique furniture and paintings that had been passed down for generations. In all of them, Chloe was always at the center, while Sophia was positioned at the edge. Richard and Margaret sat quietly on the living room sofa. Across from them, Chloe and Ethan sat side by side. Ethan anxiously crossed and uncrossed his legs, while Chloe sat with her arms folded, looking disgruntled. Sophia sat in an armchair with Olivia Grant, standing a short distance away from her. "Why did you bring a lawyer?" Richard asked. His voice lacked its usual authoritative tone and was tinged with anxiety. Sophia smiled. It was a calm, calculated smile. "Because what we're going to discuss today involves legal matters, Dad." Margaret nervously twisted her ring. "Legal matters? What are you talking about?" Before we begin, Sophia stood up and connected her laptop to the television monitor placed in one corner of the living room. "I'd like you to see some slides." "Slides?" Chloe snorted. "This isn't a work presentation." "No, it's not work," Sophia replied calmly. "This is a family matter, particularly one that concerns you, Chloe." The atmosphere in the room became increasingly tense. Ethan stared at Chloe, and she returned a contemptuous look at Sophia. However, behind her eyes, a hint of anxiety lurked. "Sophia, what are you?" Margaret began to speak, but her voice broke off as Sophia turned on the monitor. "These are email exchanges between Chloe and Liam from 2 years ago. When Liam and I were engaged," Sophia explained as emails appeared on the screen. The dates, senders, recipients, and content were clearly displayed. In the subsequent emails, the growing intimacy between the two became apparent. "This must be a forgery," Chloe cried out. Her face had turned pale. "A forgery?" Sophia calmly replied. "Then how do you explain this?" She advanced to the next slide, displaying hotel receipts, multiple dates, Liam's name, room numbers, and security camera photos showing Liam and Chloe embracing in a hotel elevator. The dates were from the period when Sophia and Liam were engaged. Richard was speechless. Margaret covered her mouth with her hand, trembling in shock. Ethan slowly rose from the sofa. "Chloe, is this true?" His voice was low and dangerously quiet. Chloe burst into tears. "This has nothing to do with you. It's in the past." "The past?" Sophia advanced to the next slide. "Then can you explain this?" This slide showed a picture dated 3 days earlier, capturing Chloe and Liam embracing. It was from the day of the baby shower. "You spied on me," Chloe accused fiercely. "That's illegal. Photography in a public place is legal." Olivia spoke for the first time, and all this evidence was obtained legally. Ethan covered his face with trembling hands. "What does this mean, Chloe?" The room was enveloped in a frozen silence. Feeling all eyes on her, Sophia moved to the final slide. "And most importantly," she said calmly, "there's a high probability that the father of Chloe's baby is not Ethan, but Liam." Chloe screamed. "That's a lie!" Sophia displayed text messages hacked from Chloe's phone. They contained discussions between Chloe and Liam about the baby's paternity. "I've already initiated the process to legally confirm this." Sophia pulled out DNA test petition documents. "The court has already approved it." Ethan exhaled violently and moved away from Chloe. You traitor." Tears of anger welled in his eyes. "Ethan, that's not true." Chloe tried to grab his arm, but he shook her off. "Don't touch me," Ethan shouted. "You've been deceiving me for 2 years. I loved Liam." Chloe suddenly cried out. Tears were streaming from her eyes. "He chose me over you." The entire room froze. Chloe's confession hit everyone like a bomb. Margaret let out a small cry, and Richard stared at his daughter in shock. "Chose?" Sophia calmly asked. "So he broke off our engagement for you?" Chloe wiped her tears and defiantly raised her chin. "Yes, he realized I was better, much better than you. Yet he didn't marry you," Sophia pointed out. "Instead, he had you marry Ethan. He had no intention of making you his wife." The blood drained from Chloe's face. "He needed time until his company stabilized." "I trusted you," Ethan shouted again. "Was our entire marriage a lie? And this child," he choked on his words, pointing at Chloe's swollen belly. "Ethan, please," Chloe pleaded. "We're family." "It's over," Ethan said quietly. Then he turned and left the room. The sound of the heavy door closing broke the silence. "Chloe," Margaret finally spoke. Her voice was trembling. "How could you?" Chloe's words trailed off. Suddenly, she glared at Sophia. "Are you satisfied ruining my life?" Sophia quietly stood up. "I only revealed the truth. You stole my fiancé, laughed behind my back, and continued to deceive Ethan. He had the right to know. Get out!" Chloe screamed. "Everyone, get out!" Sophia nodded quietly to Olivia, and the two left the room. Behind them, they could hear Chloe's sobs and Margaret's comforting words. Walking down the vast hallway, Sophia searched for Ethan. She found him sitting on a bench in front of the pond in the garden. His shoulders were slumped, and he was holding his head in his hands. "Ethan," Sophia called softly. He looked up. His eyes were red, and his face was streaked with tears. "Why did you tell me?" he asked. "We're not even close." Sophia slowly sat down on the bench. "For justice, and because you had the right to know." 2 years, Ethan murmured. "My marriage was a lie, and that child too. The DNA test will confirm it," Sophia said. "Even if it is Liam's child, you have options. Olivia specializes in family law. She can help you." "Why would they do this?" Ethan looked up at the sky. "Chloe and Liam? They followed their desires," Sophia answered, "and they didn't care about hurting others." The two sat quietly. The evening light turned the surface of the pond golden. "What will you do now?" Sophia asked. Ethan sighed. "I don't know, but thank you for telling me the truth. As painful as it is, it's better than living in a lie." Sophia stood up and gently placed her hand on his shoulder. "If you need anything, don't hesitate to call." As she was walking away, Ethan stopped her. "Sophia, you're a strong person. Not the type they make you out to be. Sophia smiled. It was her first genuine smile of the day. Thank you, Ethan. As she made her way back to her car through the garden, she felt the weight on her heart lighten a little. Truth sometimes brings pain, but it's also the beginning of healing. A week had passed. Sophia was immersed in a new project at her Manhattan office. Outside the window, early summer rain was tapping against the high-rise windows. The rhythmic sound helped organize her thoughts. Phone call for you. Her secretary's message came through the intercom. Who is it? Sophia asked, without taking her eyes off the documents in front of her. Mr. Ethan Parker. Sophia raised her eyebrows in surprise. A call from Ethan was unexpected. Please put him through. Sophia. Ethan's voice conveyed his tension even over the phone. Thank you for taking my call. You're welcome. Sophia turned her chair to look at the rainy view outside her window. Is something wrong? There's something I want to talk about. He fumbled for words. Could we meet? 2 hours later, Sophia entered a small cafe in Midtown. Beyond the raindrops sliding down the glass windows, people hurried by on the street. Ethan sat alone at a table in the back of the cafe. He looked thinner than before, and there were signs of fatigue under his eyes. Ethan. Sophia greeted him quietly as she sat across from him. Thank you for coming, he forced a smile. I ordered coffee. That's fine. Sophia placed her bag beside her chair. So, what did you want to talk about? Ethan was silent for a while but eventually spoke as if having made up his mind. I've started divorce proceedings. I've hired a lawyer. I see, Sophia nodded quietly. This was an expected development. But I think I need an experienced lawyer, he continued, choosing his words carefully, especially considering the upcoming DNA test and custody issues. Sophia understood. You want me to introduce you to Olivia? If you don't mind, he said hopefully. Of course, Sophia said. She's the best family law attorney. I'll send you her contact information, thank you. Ethan sighed deeply. And there's one more thing I want to say. He nervously turned his coffee cup. I want to thank you. Thank you for telling me the truth. It was a wake-up call. I didn't want to build a family on such lies. Sophia didn't know what to say. She was aware that her actions were partly motivated by a desire for revenge, but that wasn't all. I wanted to do the right thing, she answered honestly. Outside the cafe, the rain was beginning to let up. How is your family doing? Sophia asked hesitantly. She hadn't been in contact with her parents or sister since revealing the truth. Ethan gave a bitter smile. In a state of division. Your parents seem to continue supporting Chloe. She's been staying at your parents' house, but they seem to be attempting to reconcile with you too. Jake said, I heard from Margaret. She said, Sophia is also our precious daughter. Sophia smiled sarcastically. Only when it's convenient for them. Chloe, Ethan chose his words. She says she's planning to be with Liam, but it seems Liam is beginning to renege on his promises to her. I'm not surprised, Sophia said. She knew Liam's character well. It's strange, Ethan shook his head. I wonder what I've been seeing all this time. I'm ashamed that I didn't realize their true nature. Don't blame yourself, Sophia said gently. Love can sometimes make us blind. The conversation gradually shifted to more personal topics. Ethan's work, Sophia's career. For the first time, they had the opportunity to truly get to know each other. Actually, Ethan said somewhat embarrassedly, before marrying Chloe, I was attracted to you. Sophia stared at him in surprise. Really? Yes, he smiled, but Chloe aggressively pursued me. She seemed more accessible. You were always shining so brightly, seemed unapproachable. Sophia was speechless. She had always thought of herself as a shadow-like figure in her family, but perhaps she appeared differently in the eyes of others. Their conversation continued, and outside the cafe, dusk was approaching. Suddenly, Sophia's phone rang. Looking at the screen, she saw it was a call from her parents. It's my parents, she said in a surprised voice after a week of silence. You should answer it, Ethan said. Sophia hesitantly picked up the phone. Her mother's voice was urgent. Come to the hospital immediately. Chloe has. Sophia's blood ran cold. What happened to Chloe? She attempted suicide. Her mother's voice broke with tears. Please come. Sophia hung up and looked at Ethan with a pale face. Chloe attempted suicide. Ethan's expression changed too. Despite his anger toward his ex-wife, concern showed in his eyes. Which hospital? Street. Luke's. Sophia stood up. I have to go. I'll come with you, Ethan said. I have my car. When they arrived at the hospital, her parents were standing in the hallway. Her mother was sobbing, and her father looked dazed. As Sophia approached, her mother suddenly embraced her. Sophia, you came. Why is he here? Her father coldly asked, looking at Ethan. I invited him, Sophia said quietly. How is Chloe? She's stable? A doctor appeared in the hallway and said, Fortunately, she was discovered early, and the baby is fine. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. May I see her? Sophia asked. The doctor nodded. For a short time, Sophia entered the hospital room alone. Chloe, lying in the white hospital bed, looked frail beyond anything Sophia could have imagined from her usually confident sister. And the fourth was connected to her arm, and a monitor quietly displayed her heartbeat. Sophia, Chloe called out in a weak voice. You came. Yes. Sophia sat down beside her bed. Why did you do this? Tears spilled from Chloe's eyes. Liam. He left me with another woman. She broke down crying. I'm sorry. It was all my fault. Sophia was torn by complex emotions, anger, sadness, and, strangely, compassion. Chloe had always hurt her, but at this moment, she was just a wounded sister. It will take time for me to forgive you, Sophia said honestly, but you are my sister. Chloe weakly squeezed her hand. I'm really sorry. Sophia squeezed back. She wasn't sure if this was the first step toward reconciliation or the beginning of a new betrayal, but in this moment, she felt pity rather than hatred. Leaving the hospital room, Sophia's eyes met Ethan's in the hallway. His gaze held understanding and support. She smiled weakly. Life moves in unexpected directions, she thought. Christmas 1 year later, the Bennett mansion was wrapped in warm light. The large Christmas tree in the living room was decorated with colorful ornaments, and a fire quietly burned in the fireplace. Sophia stood with a glass of wine, gazing at the snowy landscape outside the window. Her life had changed dramatically over the past year. She had been promoted to head of the marketing department and now had her own team. She had finally found a place where she could be herself, surrounded by people who understood her value. What are you thinking about? A gentle voice interrupted her thoughts. Turning around, she saw Ethan standing there, holding a baby. Little Olivia Parker, Chloe's daughter, was now 6 months old. She slept happily in Ethan's arms. Just reflecting, Sophia smiled. A year ago, I couldn't have imagined us gathering like this. Ethan stood beside her and lightly kissed her shoulder. Life is unpredictable. In the end, DNA testing confirmed that Olivia was Liam's child. Liam was legally required to pay child support, but he made no attempt to fulfill any further role as a father. His life had been on a downward spiral, abandoned by his new woman, his real estate business failing. Rumors even suggested he was under investigation for fraud. Chloe had lost her former arrogance and was struggling to raise her child alone while receiving psychological counseling. Her relationship with Sophia was gradually being repaired. They were still far from a relationship of complete trust, but at least they were no longer adversaries. Oh, you too? Margaret called out as she entered the living room. Dinner is ready. The parents had changed too. Knowing the truth and acknowledging their mistakes, they had amended their attitude toward Sophia. It was sometimes unnatural and awkward, but Sophia could tell they were making an effort in their own way. I'm the most surprised, Chloe said as they sat down at the table. Her expression was softer than before. I was truly foolish. I was jealous of your success, but now, she gazed at Olivia, now I want to be strong for her. Sophia gently squeezed Chloe's hand. She had learned that forgiveness is cultivated gradually through small, daily actions. After dinner, Sophia and Ethan sat on the sofa in front of the fireplace, holding hands. Their relationship had developed from a friendship that began with healing common wounds into a deep bond. "You gave me the courage to face the truth," Ethan said quietly. "And you taught me what a real family is." Sophia smiled as she gazed at Olivia sleeping in his arms. "I finally understand what a real family is. It's not about blood ties, but being bound by respect, truth, and love." Outside the window, the snow continued to fall quietly. Having overcome the pain of the past, Sophia had finally found a family in the true sense of the word.